Welcome to the LHP podcast. And today, again, we talk mental health, we talk about coping, we talk about family, different subjects that are important. And I think it's important that we add emphasis on the fact that these are subjects that we don't really get to talk about a lot. So today, I have a very special guest that is going to talk to us a little bit about his projects regarding the clinic that he just opened up not too far from the Bassett Center area. His name is Rudy Salazar, and his services are advanced case management services, and he offers mental health therapy, military mental health counseling, chemical dependency counseling, sexual assault counseling, to name a few, and of course, divorce mediator services, pain, anger management assessments. These are a few services that he offers, and he also provides mobile therapy services and office visits. Rudy's actually located at 6044 Gateway Boulevard East, Suite 444, here in El Paso, Texas, 79905. And it's, again, near the Bassett area. And I can't stress the fact that I think it's important for us to really promote the services that we have here for our community members. There's a lot of us here that need the information, and for whatever reason, it's very difficult for us to reach out and really bring in people so that they're aware that the services are there to help them, especially when it comes to mental health, family, and things of that issue. So today, again, we have Rudy Salazar. Rudy, thank you for being on the show today. How are you, man?
Oh, pretty good. And thank you for having me on board.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being here last minute, because I know I kind of bugged you about it. You know, it was maybe about 3 days ago when I told you about it, but ever since I met you, man, it's been quite some time. I think it's about 4 years since I met you from the last time. You and I were working together at a different clinic, and we had the opportunity to kind of work alongside each other and see the type of services that we're providing for our community. I thought it was really cool. When I first saw you, I was like, hey, that guy is pretty interesting, man. I mean, when I first saw you, it was like you were very casual, right? I think you were just sporting a polo. And I was like, okay, this guy's got a bunch of tattoos, and he's working with kids, and he brings a different vibe to mental health, which I thought was really, really, really cool. But when I think the thing that caught me the most was the fact that your interactions with the kids were really cool. Your dynamic, your approach to making people feel comfortable. The kids going in there, not wanting to be there and have some sort of session with the therapist or with the psychiatrist, but you were always there to kind of calm them down and bring them into the facility with them not feeling too overwhelmed with emotions, right? How are you?
Pretty good. I can't complain. Just been pretty busy, pretty much literally Monday through Sunday.
Okay.
For right now, and but it's been picking up pretty well, especially after being credentialed with different insurances.
Okay.
Like Medicaid, Superior, CHIP, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then another one with the VA. A lot of military. Okay. And right now the majority that I've been doing is telemed. Telemed, and there are some clients that are out of state. Okay. But it's been going pretty well.
Nice. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer to see them in person, or because this whole teletherapy thing I think it's very interesting, and I think that I have mixed results when I speak to a lot of the therapists out there. Some of them really like to do it, and some of them, because of COVID, just got used to it, and they like it. What are your opinions behind it?
You know what? I just go with a client's choice, because I prefer to do face-to-face, because there's a lot of them that we do activities together. There's some that we can go to Guitar Center, go mess around with the instruments, go walk around, go to the park, go bike riding. It's not the traditional visit where you just go to the office, sitting across the desk, asking the same questions pretty much every session, and then just to tell them, okay, come back in 1 week, 2 weeks, in a month, and here are your meds. This is a completely different approach. And even with office visits, especially.
I think it's pretty interesting, the fact that you talked about your approach with case management. Right now, what you just said about taking one of your clients to Guitar Center, and just grabbing one of those guitars and jamming out. I mean, what's that like? Yeah, or the drums, yeah.
Yes.
How therapeutic is that, right?
Oh,
I
yes,
mean, can you tell us a little bit about one of your experiences doing one of those interventions?
Well, I prefer. I've played the drums for quite a while, but to me, it's a huge outlet. It's a release of, stress, of anything that you have bottled up. So they're playing the drums. You're banging on things. You're hitting things, and this one client, he had never played the drums, and I had him sit on the throne, and he just started going at it, and to the point where like, hey, you know what? I wanna save up and buy one of these, but you see, but like right there, I gave him a choice. I gave him an option of something outside of just the medication, outside of just the same old thing. And not just like with the drums, clients where I've been collecting vinyl for a long time. Yeah. And there's been some that, hey, I get them. We start talking about music.
You're talking about the vinyl records, right?
Vinyl records
that are kind of in style right now with a lot of folks, right?
And and a lot of times, we start talking about music, and I like certain bands, certain song, and then I start talking. Oh yeah, I got that on vinyl. Like what? Yeah, from back in the '80s, late '70s, and then hey, where can I get some? And then there's one that went out and bought a record player, and then started now collecting records.
All right. Okay.
And sometimes he'll call me and ask me, hey, where can I get this one? Where can I find this one?
How's music working out for you when you do your sessions with your clients?
I have found like with a lot of clients, there's a big connection with music.
Okay.
Because again, yes, we talk about the issues. I mean, that's why they're coming to me for the services. But once we start talking about music, it's very therapeutic, and we relate to each other with certain songs. Okay. Hey, remember? we were talking about earlier about skating. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, remember the Misfits, DRI, Anthrax.
Yeah. And Dirty Rotten Imbeciles.
Dirty
right?
Rotten Imbeciles.
DRI.
Yes, DRI. And I used to listen back to that back in the day. Yeah. And then we get into the skateboarding, what was going on at the time.
The Sex Pistols. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that creates a
bond.
A bond.
Yeah.
And now they're more comfortable in. Again, going back to, it's not the same old, do you hear things? Do you see things? Do you feel like hurting yourself or hurting others? Yes, no, maybe, so, okay, come back. No, we cover a lot of different things. Yeah. And at the same time, they're talking about all this stuff, but they're good memories. And they're talking about interests. So you're
really getting to know the client.
Yes.
Versus just your traditional, let me sit down and see him as a patient type of thing.
Right.
You're really getting down to the core of what this person's all about, so that they can open up, and so that you're able to really reach into them and help them in whatever way possible, right?
Right. And I also share, my interest with them, because I also want for them to feel comfortable to be able to open up, and not just it's a one-sided, session where, I'm talking about all my problems with someone that I don't even know what he's about. So, we share a lot of things, stories, and, at the end of the day, they feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of them that, because I have them scheduled throughout the week, and once we log in, hey, I was waiting, to talk to you, and they start talking about more things, but I'm learning more about them. So I'm writing this down on the notes. And then I'm incorporating that into their treatment plan, and it's just helping them build, something better for, again, instead of just relying on the medication.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we know that medication is a really good thing, but there's a different side of being able to provide treatment other than medication, right? But it's got to be very specific, I think, for every client, right? What makes you very relatable, Rudy? Because I know you're a native of El Paso. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and who you are, and what drove you to get into this profession of mental health?
Well, I grew up in the Lower Valley.
Lower Valley,
the Cedar Grove area.
Okay.
Graduated from Riverside High School, class of '92.
Riverside.
And
cool.
I've had a vast variety of jobs. You know,
Okay.
my first job was working at McDonald's while I was in high school. But at the same time, I was attending vocational. And there I was learning, you know, how to repair it was an electronics class. So I kind of specialized in repairing VCRs at that time.
Okay.
And, you know, always a hustler.
Old school.
Yes, always a hustler. You know, I've always been into drawing. I started drawing my own flyers, posting them up around the projects and the neighborhoods.
Okay.
And hey, you know, these are my, you know, VCR services, and I would have them stacked up in my room all the time, just fixing VCRs, making money.
Okay. This was when you were in high school.
When I was in high school.
Okay.
And working at McDonald's.
Okay.
So I always had that drive.
Side
You know,
hustles.
right? And you know, as I kept growing up, you know, went to once I graduated from high school, I went to college on a Pell Grant. And you know, from there,
Did you think you were going to go to college? Was that in the plans?
it was. Well, you see, the thing is, you know, times were tough back then. You know, I knew my parents couldn't send me to college. That's why I through high school, I went to this one program where I graduated in 3 years.
Okay.
Versus you know, the 4 years to be able to get that Pell Grant. And you know, I got it, and you know, went to college, and then I ended up I was working with PD out in Sunland Park in New Mexico.
Okay.
And that was my initial thing. That's what I wanted to do ever since I was a kid.
Nice.
But you know, again, life
throws you in different directions.
in different directions and everything, and eventually, you know, afterwards, and then went with the fire department. I was with a fire marshal's office.
Okay.
And then after that, one day we go in and I start, you know, you see a bunch of things, you hear a bunch of different things, and I started wondering, you know, why do people do certain things, especially like, you know, suicides, overdoses, and when they go out, got a job opportunity with UBH.
UBH.
Right.
What was that like? What UBH? I hear a lot of, you know, cool things about it. It's a hospital here in town, but what was your experience working with clients there?
Well, you see, when I went on board with UBH, I started off as a behavioral health technician, just a tech. So I got to work with clients of all ages. You know, there's of course the children's unit, adolescents, adults. There's a military unit, and then of course PICU, psychiatric intensive care unit.
Okay. That seems like a mouthful right there, right?
Yes, that's
What was going on in there?
that's.
What did you learn there?
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I think I learned more there than I did during the college courses. And PICU is where you get to actually see the what do I want to say, the symptom that you want to see.
The actual symptom of
Yes.
the pathology, the mental health pathology, right?
Bipolar, schizophrenia, you get to see that. And
The real manifestations, right?
yes,
The real deal, raw.
raw, exactly.
Okay. Instead of reading it in a textbook like a lot of people do, or having someone talk to you about it, you're in the unit and you're seeing clients that are experiencing these symptoms.
Right.
And that's a very the word to describe, it's a very real thing for you as a mental health professional, right, to take in.
And I think I recommend anyone who wants to get into this field, I highly suggest that they work at a psych hospital such as like UVH or even a Peak, Rio Vista, for at least a year, so that they can really, you know, get the feel of what it's like. Because I've worked with people where they come straight out of college and then they just put them out on the field. And then they encounter a situation where there's a
crisis. Yeah.
And they just freeze up. They don't know what to do. Because again, they maybe read it somewhere in the textbook, but it's not the same.
Can you recall a time that was something similar to what you're talking about right now, where all of a sudden there was a crisis in general, right? And then somebody had to step up to the plate and take care of it. And all of a sudden you found yourself like, oh, geez, like I guess I'm just gonna have to take the call. I'm gonna have to take care of it myself, but I'm freaking out at the same time too.
Yeah, there was this happens several times. But I mean, on one occasion, there was this one. Well, to me, it was a kid, still pretty young. He was assigned a caseload, and he got into a situation where he had to call in for a crisis. But he wasn't right at that moment. Okay, do I call the cops? What do I do? So he calls me at night. You know, hey, this is going on. You know, this guy's over here throwing things all over the place, and his parents are over there in the room, and they're scared, and so I had to go over there. But at the same, as I'm driving out there, I'm calling an EDO, emergency detention order.
Okay.
And so by the time I get there, you know, police unit arrives. But once I get there, I talk the client down. Okay. Because he was someone at the house that triggered him. Really
what was going on? Can you give us an example of like what is a trigger for those that are watching and don't know what a trigger is?
The trigger, I mean, like an example with this in that situation. You know, this client, you know, bipolar, anger issues, very short fuse, and then someone in the family gets irritated with them because, you know, they didn't put something in their place, or they didn't throw the trash or whatever. So right away, oh, you know what? That's what happens when you're crazy. When you take all those meds, you make you all stupid, and so it's just
that's like an attack, right?
Yes.
And they see it, they take that personal.
They take that really personally, and I mean, their reaction was really bad. So by the time, you know, that I arrived there, the EDO arrives. You know, talk them down, and just, you know, and talk to the parents. Hey, you know what? You can't do this. But at the same time, it's just, you can't do this, and, you know, you can do whatever you want. No, it's, you need to understand, you know, why he's reacting like this. You know, the medication, it's just more patience. You need to work with them.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying that not only are you working with the client, but you're also having to work with their families as well, right?
The majority of the time, it's also working with the families, especially with children and adolescents.
Okay. Have you noticed that there's a lot of clients out there that are adults too? They're still living at home with mom and dad, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. And with those cases, do you see the dynamic being similar to those that are adolescents, for example, that, you know, they just never been able to kind of get out of that environment?
They become very codependent. And unfortunately, you know, in some households, you know, the parents coddle them too much. They're pretty much, you know, in a bubble, and that creates a different type of monster.
Well, see, this is what I call a family show as well. So one of the things that I like to add emphasis on education-wise is the fact that people need to understand that as parents, sometimes we do cause these type of dysfunctions.
Right.
And in our efforts to try to protect and coddle our kids, like you said, we do a lot of damage, and that's very, very significant for a lot of families, right? So how do you deal with that?
Again, it's working with sometimes it's a single parent, and you have to also do a side session, what I call a side session, with a parent or the parents, where I kind of re-educate them. I'm not telling them how to be parents. You know, none of us know how to, but you know, we learn along the way. But in those situations, you know, I have to sit there and talk to them. Hey, you know what? Look, I create a different plan for the parent or the parents. You know, if you can try to do this, you know, you accommodate, you know, the needs of, even with the schools. Yeah. You know, it's called with a 504 program.
What is the 504 program?
It's where they, you know, some kids with ADHD, with certain, you know, things like that, they do special accommodations in the classrooms. Okay. Where they, you know, like with ADHD, you know, they set them up in the front. The teacher gives them a little bit more time to complete their assignments.
Are you involved in that also, if they're your clients?
Yes. Okay. If, every time they have what are called ARD meetings, there's been some that they also go and I attend. I sit in with, you know, with the teachers, with the principal, the assistant principal, the counselor.
Okay.
And a lot of times the teachers aren't aware, of to what extent how the problem is with the student.
With the student.
And
Okay.
so I have to, explain to them, hey, you know what? Also the medication, sometimes they're just kind of out.
Mm-hmm.
And the teachers think, hey, he or she's falling asleep, or they don't want to pay attention, but they don't know what's going on.
They're acting out, or they're being oppositional, right? They're not listening to what we're doing. They're not behaving in class, right? Not knowing that these are symptoms of their maybe disorder, right?
Well, because of the disorder and or the medication.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes some of these kids, they have to take the medication in the morning, and by the time they're at school, they're somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're falling asleep. And so that's why I also become involved with that aspect of when it comes to school.
Which is completely valuable, what you're doing right now, because I think you're taking a holistic approach, right? It's not just a client visiting me at an office and then having some sort of intervention and that's it. What I see that you're doing right here is you're providing the full circle as far as the service is concerned, right? The environment, the family, the school, the hobbies, the after-school activities,
right?
Even the prepping to ending the day. I mean, I think that's a very good thing that you're doing. How's everything working out as far as your client flow and all that? How do you handle having all kinds of clients right now?
It's I could sit and talk about this here all day, but it's time wise, there's at the end of the day, it's like, man, I could have needed 2-3 more hours today.
How many clients do you have per day?
Per day, I see.
I know it kind of varies, right? Maybe.
Yes, it just varies, especially with the telemed. There's some that are half-hour sessions, and more caseloads are coming in, so I have to press in. That's why now I extended it all the way out through Sundays. And but pretty soon I'll start having more staff on board, especially case managers.
Okay.
I have one that's looking at some clients, but it's still not enough. But
There's
it's
a high demand, huh?
Yes, and a lot of it, it's word of mouth, especially with the VA, because they know, hey, this guy, this is how he approaches you. So, and the thing with the office visits, I try to, with those, I try to just schedule them. Just one where they don't have to go to the office to where they have to sit in the waiting room with other people, and then just to go in for 10-15 minutes. And I try to take away that stigma where they sit there thinking, oh, what if I run into someone that I know, or what if I, and they're comfortable in that setting. But I give them that choice. Would you like to meet at my office? Would you like to meet, at your home? We can meet at Starbucks. We can, where they feel comfortable.
Okay. And for the most part, they're pretty receptive with that.
Oh yes,
yeah.
and they like the idea that they have those choices instead of, because a lot of times there's people that are at work. Let's say well, I have you scheduled for Thursday at 10 a.m. Oh, but I'm at work. So that's why I give them those options.
Okay. So let's go ahead and say that you have a client that gets out at 8 p.m. Are you available for a session?
Yes.
At that time?
Yes, I'll make some time available for the client as well.
Okay. Wow, it kind of sounds very complicated sometimes, right? But this is the field we chose, right?
Correct.
This is what we chose to do, and it's not an easy thing, as a lot of people tend to see it. And I like the fact that you encourage people that are getting into this field to work at a psych center, because that's where you get the real deal, right?
Yes.
That's where you see the cream of the crop, as they say, right? But what about Rudy? What about you at the end of the day? How is it? What kind of pointers do you give people so that you can keep yourself at a level where you can function, be effective, and pretty much be an impact to what you're doing?
It's at the end of the day, people need to keep in mind that as a case manager, as a counselor, as a therapist, you deal with so many energies. so many, a lot of people's different problems throughout the whole day, every day. So at the end, you have to attend yourself. So you have to give yourself that me time. So again, coming to giving yourself options, the same options that I give my clients for them to cope, I have to give them to myself.
You got to practice what you preach.
Exactly. And the main one is music. Sit down, pull out some vinyl. Okay, today I'm going to listen to...
Talk to me about those, man, because those are important. What music puts you at a level where you feel relaxed and you're good? Because that could be relative. For example, on my way over here to do this podcast, in the morning, I was listening to And Justice for All, right?
Yes.
The first song is Blackened. And that song is loud. It's a Metallica song for those that are watching this. And a lot of people are comfortable with white noise, and they're relaxed with different, classical music and things of that nature.
Right.
But in this particular case, because I was going to come do a podcast with you and I wanted to make sure my energy levels were pretty high, I was listening to something that was really heavy. So that was my kind of cup of tea to get into it. What about you when you need to relax and enjoy yourself?
That's weird because it just varies what's going on here. It can be from anything where something from the 80s, like the outfield, maybe some Pat Benatar, Morrissey. And then, but it depends on, no, you know what? I'm gonna listen to some Slayer or to some Cannibal Corpse or some Napalm Death. Even though it's hardcore aggressive music, it's still it relaxes me. Sounds kind of weird, but it does relax me in a way.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's really good. Identifying those things that music that's gonna bring you at a good functioning level. I know you're also an Hapkido instructor, right?
Yes.
When I was growing up in California, I was taking Hapkido, and I did the white belt, and then I went into yellow, orange, purple. It's a great discipline, and it's also good for mental health as well, right? How's that working out for you, martial arts?
Pretty good. I've been in practice for over 30 years.
30 years.
My age. Yeah. And I eventually, after getting my first my black belt, I became an instructor. Started again with kids when I was living in the projects. Rounding them up instead of them, going around tagging the buildings and causing havoc. Hey, come on and give them free classes. And I'm still in contact with some of these kids. They're already adults, already married with children themselves. But they always tell me, hey, I remember when you would teach the classes, and they kept them straight. And it's a great practice.
You're still doing it?
Yes.
So this is part of your coping skills also, right? Okay.
And then meditation, I've been practicing Buddhism for about 4 years now.
Okay.
And that's another great, really great escape. Level yourself out. People think of it as it's a religion. That's how you worship. No, it's you. It's an extension of yourself.
Interesting.
And it's a very good extension because you get to really level yourself out. From again all of these energies that you deal with throughout the day.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
So I have the
I see it on the tats right there.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah, and I see that art plays a significant role also in what you do, right?
Yes.
What does art mean to you, and how do you maybe talk to clients about the importance of, I don't know, there's a lot of therapists and case managers that love mandalas, right?
Yes.
It seems to be something that works out for a lot of clients. How does art work for you?
I've had clients that are also interested in art, and we share drawings. I remember at one time working with a group, and we would pass around a piece of paper where I would start off with a shape and then pass it on to the next one in a circle. Okay, you're gonna add. We're gonna keep adding to it. When it gets back over here, then I'm gonna to see what we're gonna get. So we all shared into that shape.
Okay.
And then at the end, we would talk about, hey, why did you add this? Why did you add this? Oh, because I thought it would fit because of whatever it was that was in their mind.
Okay. It was kind of a way to engage the whole group, right?
Yes.
So you're doing group sessions also?
No, this is when I was working at previous clinics, but that's in one of the plans, with like the group sessions. I've had family sessions, which is pretty much the same, the husband, wife, kids. But like group, where I can actually, we can meet at a park or something, and we can do, we can talk, we can meditate, we can do activities. That's also in the works.
Oh, okay. That's awesome, man. So what's it like to open up your own practice? Can you talk to us a little bit about that? How has it been? I know it's been, I'm sure it's not an easy thing to do.
It was not easy, but it's a waiting game, and it was not easy. There was a lot of obstacles, and again, there were some pretty bad ones. But
what was the most difficult thing you had to kind of overcome to be able to open up your own place?
You have to kind of shun yourself out from the crowd. I was at one time, always here, there, a lot of people always around and stuff, and I just had to cut myself out completely from everyone and everything.
A complete focus on this project.
And just focus. Because going back to the energies, the Buddhism, there's a lot of energies out there that don't want you to make progress.
Yeah.
And
they don't really, there's a lot of jealousy out there, I would imagine, right?
Yes, and but then again, if you're persistent, if you see one obstacle or 20 obstacles ahead of you, sounds kind of silly, but you picture yourself at the end, way over there where you overcame all of this. It goes back to the law of attraction. Because if you sit there and there's 2 obstacles ahead of me, I give up, I'm not gonna make it past that. No, you sit there and you know what, I'm gonna make it through that. I'm gonna break through those. I'm gonna jump over whatever it takes. I'm going to get there. But at the same time, you have to be wise enough to, okay, what do I need to remove from my life to be able to really focus on getting there, on achieving that?
The process of elimination.
Yes.
Okay. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the things that may have been negative in your journey into your career right now? Some of the things that may have kept you back, perhaps. Some of the things that kind of drained your energy or motivation to move forward. What were some of those things, and how did you overcome them?
My motivation has always been there. That's something that's, since, when we were talking about earlier about working at McDonald's and doing the side hustle with the VCRs, I've always had that drive. And I've never given up. If I set my mind to something, I push until I get there. But the one thing, it's just one of the negative things was just a lot of disappointments. Certain people, different people. And that's why I just decided to go on my own. Just on your own. And that's another big piece of advice that I want to give to anyone wanting to start in this business. Try to do it on your own at the beginning. Partnerships, things of that nature.
Very difficult?
It's very difficult, because, it may start off well, but then, there's disagreements. There's going to be, oh, no, I did more than you. No, you did more. And so you want to eliminate all of that.
Okay. Obstacles. Okay.
Right.
Wow. Well, to open up a business is not a very easy thing. So your focus has to be there. Your mission has to be there.
Right.
And I'm sure all those things you have down, you have it on lockdown, like they say, right?
Right.
So during this time with your business, what's your vision? Can you talk to us a little bit more about what you plan to do for the future?
For next year, we have in mind also servicing New Mexico and Arizona. And depending on the credentialing for the different insurances. But I already have the people who are interested out there in the services. But when it comes to that, I really need staff that are going to be able to work out in those two states.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, cool. So if there's people out there that are interested in in joining your team and being case managers? Are you just looking for case managers? Is that what it is?
Case managers.
Okay.
Because I want for the client to, I mean, they're gonna still visit their nurse practitioner or whoever else, but case management to where they will follow up with the client, making sure that they're following their med management, that they're being active in their treatment plan. Because a lot of people, they just sit there, take the medication, pass out, wake up, and same thing. And they don't. And a lot of times they don't have someone to call them or stop by. Hey, you know what? Have you done this? Let's go out. Let's go to the park. Let's go to the mall. Let's go do something. What would you like to do? It's not, no, I'm going to take you to go do, no. Giving them that choice. What would you like to do today? Oh, well, I don't feel like going out. And then sometimes you don't want to push it either. But sometimes, hey, encourage them. Hey, you know what? Let's go try and do something today, or let's go and get them out of that, out of that vicious cycle.
Yeah, it can be a very vicious cycle, right?
Yes.
So it looks like you have your hands full then, right?
Oh, yes.
How many clients are we talking about right now in total, for you?
In total?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. It's you'd be surprised how I'm trying to keep up with, but it's, throughout the day, and now I don't have an exact number.
Yeah, it's that many, huh?
I don't have an exact number.
Well, that's good though. As long as we have people that are reaching out and making sure that that they get the help that they need, I think that's the most valuable thing that you can do. Location. How did you choose that location there that you have now?
It's very centrally located, and of course, as much as the city has grown, now all the way out to Horizon, and then to the far west side. So I figured, the Bassett area would be a perfect location.
Nice. Okay, cool. So it's working out for you right now in this area then?
Yes.
Okay,
it's
perfect.
Very, very well. And then, like I said, the majority of the clients right now are through telemed. So, people who want to, I usually, a lot of them, initially, the initial assessment, we'll meet at the office, formal meeting. And then, from there, that's when I, again, give them the choice. What would you like to meet next time? Where will you, phone, even a phone call. And then we just take it from there.
Yeah, I think that the services that you have are just so golden. I really do. The fact that they could just call you, and instead of going through your conventional type of setting, you're doing different things with them. And I think that's very important for people to hear. I think a trip out to the mall, maybe to take a walk, or going to watch a movie perhaps.
Right.
Or, maybe even just going to the fountains here, right? And taking a walk in that little median area. It just gets you out of the routine. It encourages you to do better, I guess. I don't know if somebody's really paying attention to you and somebody's really encouraging for you to make some positive changes, right? So I think that's really awesome. How can people find you? Can you give us your address again, your phone number and all that, so that people can...
My office is located at 6044 Gateway Boulevard East, and it's Suite 444. And the phone number is 915-888-7908.
Nice. Can you repeat that phone number just one more time?
915-888-7908.
That is awesome. Rudy, I think that what you're doing for this community is so valuable. And I appreciate you bringing in those good vibes, that good energy, and encouraging people to come out and look out for you, because I think it's very needed. And I have a lot of friends out there that have a hard time relating. And I think you bring that component into this whole mental health spectrum. The fact that you're so relatable, and the fact that people feel comfortable around you, I think that is the best thing that we can do for community members, for sure.
You know what? And another big point here also is, there, especially parents that know their kids need the services, but then that they don't take that final step because they're afraid of their kids being put on medication. And
that's a big thing.
Yes, or even young adults themselves. You know what? I need the services, but I don't want to be on medication, and then that becomes more frustrating. But I again give them those options. I will not push on the medication unless it's extremely necessary, But even at that point, I still give them that choice. Would you like to start with? But again, hey, let's look at this avenue here. What are your interests? What is something that you would like to do or have been wanting to do? Oh, well, you know what? I've been, like in one situation, I've been wanting to learn how to play the acoustic guitar. Well, why haven't you started? Do you have one? No. Why haven't you? What's kept you from it? It could be time. It could be, in most cases, money. You know what? Let's go to the pawn shops. Let's go shopping. Let's go look for this one guy found one for $40. He's all happy and, hey, you know what? All right. And well, now how am I gonna learn?
Yeah.
There's YouTube.
Yeah, there you go.
all the free lessons you can.
You got to get creative.
Right.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. That's cool. But I think on closing, I think that's awesome because there's a lot of people that just don't want to get on medication. They don't,
right. And I respect that.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because sometimes they feel pressured, right?
Right.
And being able to try to work with them and try to provide them with maybe the help without using medication, I think is probably one of the most important things that you can do for the client. Awesome. Is there anything you want to add to this, Rudy, to this interview for people that are watching right now? Anything that you want to add to kind of make them aware that you're here?
Just all the information that was given, you know where to find me. I'm available, pretty much at any time. If you have any questions, any concerns, anything you would like to cover, just feel free to call. And we can set up an appointment right away. And that's another thing, I'm available immediately. None of this 2 weeks, 1 month waiting period.
Yeah, that's been crazy for a lot of people.
Yes.
And I know personally, trying to reach out for services and having to wait. And the other aspect is the phone thing. It's like, leave a message and we'll get back to you. And that's tough when you're dealing with mental health. So I think it's important for people to get back to you right away, for sure. Okay, awesome. Well, I do want to thank you for being on the show today, Rudy. We hope that you've enjoyed your time with us today.
Oh, yes. And thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem, man. It's been my pleasure. And I think that this is a very, very significant episode because people are going to have the opportunity to really reach out if they need your services for sure. Thank you for watching today's podcast. We want to thank Rudy Salazar for being our guest today. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube to our channel and hit the like button on Instagram and Facebook. We're on social media as well. We want to encourage you guys to look out for us too in your major platforms for listening to podcasts as well. Once again, we thank you guys for being for watching the LHP podcast. We'll see you soon again.